So that is the start of the November 10th meeting of the Water-Wastewater Commission. Thanks everyone for attending. Here in person we have Mike McLaughlin, myself, Nick Erickson, Mark Piermarini, and on the phone slash video we have George Sanier, sorry if I don't pronounce your name right, and we also have Stephen Bordutha, and we have Jennifer Lambert. And then before us, John DeLine, Tony Maressa, and Keisha Allen. All right. So the first item on the agenda is to review the minutes from October 13th, 2021 meeting of the Water-Wastewater Commission. Any comments from the commission? I have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from October 13th.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion approved. Second item on the agenda is the public forum. And this is an item that's continued from previous meetings. 68 Blot Away, hearing appeal for denial of sewer billing abatement request regarding private irrigation system water usage. Former Deputy Commissioner of Wastewater Jeff Morawski, along with the Water-Wastewater Commission, have both previously denied this appeal. And I believe we need a motion to reopen this discussion from one of the commission members.
Do we need a real, last time we voted to deny, so do we, I don't know how we.
Right, so we've had a request from.
For appeal.
For an appeal, I guess, from the mayor's office. So I'm not sure exactly the proper procedure, but I assume we need a motion to reopen this case. Do I have any sort of motion along those lines?
Procedure, I don't know how that works.
You said you have some correspondence from one of the...
Yeah, do we have the,
Yeah, there's additional correspondence between Ms. Allen and John DeLine. And I think John looked a little bit further into some of the water consumption data.
It was primarily, Kasia had called, Ms. Allen had called the mayor's office, and she hadn't been notified, I guess, at the last meeting. And the mayor asked that we, open the hearing again so she could come speak on her behalf, so.
I mean, I'll make a motion to open the hearing again.
All right, got a motion. Do we have a second?
I guess the question is, do we have a quorum to hear?
George just seconded. George, you're muted, but I saw your hand go up.
Yeah. What's a quorum? We might have to ask Jennifer.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
We do have a quorum.
So we have a motion and a second to reopen that hearing. Before John speaks, any of the commission members have anything that they want to discuss?
Well, I mean, procedurally, we've already voted on it, right? So I guess, is this an information gathering? Are we listening to the petitioner?
Yes, it's primarily, Ms. Allen would like to speak on her behalf since she didn't get a chance to at the last meeting, so.
Okay. So, Ms. Allen, I don't know if you want to approach, make sure you speak into the microphone so people on the phone can hear as well.
So I just want to start by saying that it's not that I didn't show up to a meeting. I was 2 months ago specifically told not to come. I was told that before the meeting I will be contacted and there will be some conversation prior to that. That never happened. Then the meeting happened.
Recording in progress.
Happened, and then I was informed afterwards, which I don't think is okay. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I can speak to why I completely disagree with the decision that was made, and I will never agree with it. Everybody's trying to convince me that there's absolutely nothing out of ordinary with the month and a half worth of water situation that happened that is a result of something clearly malfunctioning with the irrigation system. I have, from the year 2003, never ever did the water bill go over $200, never once. The highest was like 187, and that's like, I mean, it's literally the absolute highest. Nobody is going to convince me that 637 is not out of ordinary. And I also refuse to be called a liar, which I have been called repeatedly by people, where I'm told that I'm negligent and a liar. I'm negligent because apparently I was supposed to somehow detect this issue prior to receiving that ginormous bill, and a liar for multiple reasons that were brought up that I don't know, I didn't replace the item immediately, and I didn't have somebody come look at it immediately. My main issue here is that we have a precedent that happened in 2019, and in the letter that was sent to me as part of the denial, it was stated that this is the procedure and this never happens. People don't come with this. And I have a letter that I'm looking at that in August of 2019 granted in very similar circumstance an abatement to a Rheingold Avenue situation. And I don't understand what makes them more worthy of being heard and then having their issue be resolved than myself. I mean, am I not describing myself clearly because I have an accent? Like, I don't know what the problem here is. It's very clear that there was a situation that was not under my control that happens to the water usage, that's proven through the many years of having the system that it's never been that big. The moment that I stopped the system, everything went back down. So clearly that was the issue. How is it different than this? How is it different than Mr. and Mrs. whatever Rheingold Avenue? I just don't understand. And I know that there was a regret expressed to me. Somebody said, I wish that this abatement wasn't granted. Well, I'm really sorry, but even in a court of law, there are precedents that then are cause for other people to appeal to them. And I could bring some examples that are controversial that I'm sure that some people wish didn't happen, but they happened. So that's where we are, and I just don't understand where am I wrong here in my request.
Could I trouble you to, could I take a look at that document, please? I'll give it right back to you.
This is the other people, and this is my, so this is 1.5, I'm sorry, and this is everything else, the highest and the overall. By the way, if you look through my water bills, my bills now in 2021 are actually the lowest in the entire history of my water usage. Reason being, we're very conscious of the water usage, of also of appliances that we purchase. If anything, we're going towards less usage rather than more. And then in the light of all that, being accused of having done something willingly and then trying to waste everybody's time, my own included, because, you know, I do work for a living. This is not fun for me at all. I just feel that this is wrong, that somebody else has a similar situation and he's granted an abatement and I'm not. And I will never, ever feel okay about this.
Like, that other abatement, is it, what's the nature of it? It's a
Yeah, I'd like to,
broken pipe, from what I understand?
I'd like to see it, yes.
Well, you know, things don't have to be broken in a visible way with your eyes. You know, you don't have to see it with your eyes to know that it's broken, right? Like, people can be sick and they don't have to have a broken bone. You can look super healthy and have an issue. When I'm told that my irrigation guy came and said there's nothing wrong with it, that's also misrepresentation of the truth. Because what he did say is that he can't see anything. He then proceeded to reset the system. And I said to him, hey, Greg, how will I know if that reset fixes it? And he's like, well, the only way you'll know is if you put it back on. Did I put it back on? No, because I was in the middle of this and I wanted to stop all the usage so that I normalize my bill. I go back to my regular situation so that those printouts can show the reality of where I'm at. I was also told that I didn't react immediately. I reacted immediately. The day that that bill came, everything got shut down. I started making calls. I started writing letters and emails. I have certified mail even that got sent out and sent to me that proves that. I then happened to travel for a vacation outside of the country. And it wasn't until I came back that the irrigation guy could come. I don't think that should be held against me, that I have a life outside of my sewage bill.
So from what I understand, it looks like that abatement in 2019 was a broken irrigation pipe in the lawn, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what it seems. And it looks like, there's demonstrable proof that there was actually a break. In this case, it's a little bit more abstract. Like you said, you can't necessarily see anything wrong with the system, and the sprinkler contractor hasn't necessarily given us any indication that there was anything wrong other than just doing the reset. And you've got the bill, obviously, that shows he was out there.
right.
But you can see 10 years worth of bills of consistent pattern of usage. Don't you think that something threefold outside of the normal usage indicates an issue? Are you telling me that I purposefully set it up to use 3 times the water amount and then proceeded to pretend that I didn't, to waste everybody's time like this? I'm just trying to understand, because we're questioning whether or not my system is broken, right? So what's the other answer? The other answer is the Allens set their clock to run so much water, make the best lawn on Bellata Way, and then they wanted to make sure that they don't pay for it. I just don't understand. What are we trying to say? What am I doing here to prove otherwise, right? What is giving you doubts about what I'm saying?
I guess, first off, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm trying to understand the situation and make a determination based on the facts that are before us. And really, the difficulty that I'm having is that there is no demonstrable proof that there was anything wrong with the system. I mean, John, I know you went through all the water consumption data. Is there anything, what does your analysis indicate?
I saw that the irrigation system was operating, typically 3 hours a day, about from 6:37 in the morning until about 9:30. I mean, that's what was going on. I think you saw the emails, whatever, as the calculations. I tried to figure out, based on the area that Ms. Allen provided, whether that was an excessive amount of water and what would be typically used for that lawn. I just didn't, see anything that would suggest that they were watering, that there was 2 or 3 inches of water going on per week versus 1 inch or whatever. So looking for something like that, or even a high flow where, there could have been a sprinkler line broken underground, looked at, the usage on a, gallon per minute rate to see if something had happened there, that they couldn't see or whatever. And it was very consistent or whatever with the flow rate and over those times, so.
So it wasn't something that happened overnight during
Almost.
No, the
midnight
irrigation
to
system
6
was
a.m. period.
going on in the morning, which is what I was told that was programmed to do, so.
Yeah.
It went for longer than he was programmed to do. For 10 years, we've had the same system, operated the same exact way, and I have all this data to prove that it was the same exact way, because there's no deviation from the amounts. It was very, very consistent. We have consistently not the nicest lawn on Bellata Way, and I'm fine with that. 2021 was not my year to go super green. I didn't turn it on and decide this is the year, I'll make it amazing, and then not pay.
Me being a newcomer here, I and looking at it from the outside, where there was a broken pipe, there's like you said, Nick, there's a clear indication that something was wrong. Not saying that there wasn't something wrong in this case, but it's an abatement. It's not necessarily a guarantee that we're going to alleviate, cost. So we have to use the best evidence in our judgment, and where there's no clear indication that something was wrong, well, then we got to side with the original bill, is my thought.
So the only clear indication is what you see with your own eyes. Like, it has to be physically broken.
In my eyes,
So this is
yes.
not a clear indication when it's triple the normal consistent amount from across the past 10 years.
Right,
That's
and-
not.
And typically,
I can see it
when we've
also.
done abatements in the past, from what I understand, that if a pipe breaks in someone's house, we go out, we see the pipe is broken, and it didn't go down the sewer pipe. In this case, it's just kind of abstract of where the issue lied. And that's unfortunate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, someone could use a lot more water in 1 month than they had in the past.
Okay.
So
So you
it doesn't necessarily mean the abatement's going to be guaranteed because a lot more water was used in 1 month than in the past 10 years.
So you just said we see a broken pipe, therefore we can tell the water didn't go in a sewer. Are you telling me that my water went in the sewer?
Nope, I'm not saying that either, but the policy says that we don't abate for a sprinkler system. I know we have
We
in the
did
past
in
for 2019
2019.
for a broken pipe, so I don't necessarily agree with that in 2019, but
It's too late for that.
So,
2019 it happened. I mean, the gentleman came home from, vacation or whatever and discovered it within, 1 day or 2 days or whatever happening and, called and reported, and showed the pipe and demonstrated what had broken and, so it was something that was caught very quickly.
so,
I caught it as quickly as I could.
well, in this case, so has the sprinkler contractor been back out to the house at all since the visit that we discussed, the first meeting that you came?
Why would I have him back? He told me in order to test whether or not the reset worked, I have to put it on and watch it for a period of time. And I just told you that I never put it on. Why would I
I'm just
have him
wondering
back?
if you've done any other troubleshooting to identify the problem, or if you have any other information. I'm just trying to understand the
No,
whole
and I also want to
situation.
say that if I wanted to from now on never ever again use my sprinkler system because say I can't afford to fix it or I plan on moving next month, that I don't think that should be in question here. My
I just
plans for
asked-
the future of my sprinkler system
I'm
shouldn't
not
be in
questioning
question.
anything that you're accusing me of questioning. I'm just asking if you've done anything to further investigate the problem. And the answer is no. A simple
The
no
answer
would
is
have
no,
been-
but again, you're indicating some negligence, and that's not negligence. I just didn't do what he
Miss
told
Allen,
me
I'm
to
not
do.
indicating any sort of negligence or anything. Like I said, I'm just trying to understand the situation. Now, John's indicating that it ran during the morning hours instead of the overnight hours. Did you see it running?
I many times said that I don't watch my lawn. I work, and I never saw anything running. I mean, was there like some moisture at some point? Yes. But I wasn't watching when it's running.
Okay.
Sprinkler system
ask a
is
question,
meant to be a
please?
set it and forget it kind of thing. Like, I don't watch my sprinkler.
Could I just get some facts? So we visited the site, right, and determined the meter's fine, correct?
Yeah, Steve Neal, the distribution manager, went out and profiled it.
There was a test of the system and determined what? There's no leaks?
There's no leaks that
No
that he
leaks.
could find, no.
Is there an issue with the timer?
He said that that's the only thing that it could be, so he reset the timer, whatever that
Okay,
means.
so being presumptuous, that there was probably an issue with the timer and the unit was running longer than it was supposed to for a
Yes.
given period of time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The abatement that was given that she's referencing back in 2019, have the bylaws changed with regards to abatement between now and then?
No.
That was, the bylaw was in place when that occurred.
Okay. Was that case before us?
No, Jeff granted abatement because there was a, demonstrated, failure of a component, so.
Okay.
Failure of
This
a
one, he
component.
didn't, according to his letter, he didn't see one, He had talked to the irrigation company, according to the notes on the account, I don't know the details of the conversation, but, that there wasn't like, definitely the controller, the Greg's irrigation couldn't say that, that was definitely the problem, and resetting it's gonna, correct it. I mean, there was nothing like that, so.
So, John, you said Steve visited the site, I assume right after Miss Allen called.
Yeah, and met with Miss Allen and her husband.
Okay. And what did he report back, I guess?
It was, that he could see that the water was flowing, 2 to 3, whatever hours or whatever every morning, usually, I think 3 hours.
Okay.
And told them that's what he could see on the
So what does the, is there a specific, what does the bylaw state specifically?
basically says it wouldn't be granted for any type of outside water use. I mean, it was put in place to ensure that, we had quite a few calls earlier in the year because May and June was very dry and people were complaining about their water use come July. She got her bill in June, but come July, because they didn't realize how much they had been watering in May and June when, we were under drought conditions. So we had quite a few calls then, and those type of things, like the bylaw is meant to prevent because people don't want to pay sewer on their outside watering or watering their garden or washing their cars sometimes or pressure washing their house for whatever purpose. Sometimes this adds up quite a bit. A lot of people don't realize how much they use pressure washing a house, painting or something like that. It really adds up to quite a bit. Of course, they don't want to pay the sewer charge because it didn't go down the sewer. But that policy was put in place to ensure that, that people, first off, it takes a lot of time for us to look at something, whether they used, 4 units this year and 8 units, 4 units last year, 8 units this year and stuff. I mean, it's just very, very time consuming to look at this stuff and figure out exactly what went on or, but also to, to keep everything even for everybody too, as well, to make sure that everybody's doing that. Of course, if somebody's going to use a lot of outside water, they should have an irrigation meter. That isn't always the best thing because maybe they don't. Some people think they use a lot of water outside, so we try to analyze that for them. But yeah, the policy was meant to make sure that people weren't coming in over and over for some type of abatement for outside irrigation or starting a new lawn or something like that, garden or something.
So how many days was the system faulty?
A month and a half.
Okay.
Because whenever it was turned on, then the first bill didn't come till mid next month, right? So the second that bill literally was the biggest shock of my life. And it's, again, if this was like, if my normal is 170 in the summer at the highest, if this was 250, you would not see me here. If it was 300, you would not see me here. If it was 400, you would probably still not see me here. It was 637. And then for that next month, there wasn't even a half month, it was 235. So it was like on its way to being just that, which shows consistent craziness of like water. And I think probably the reason that I couldn't see it is now you were saying that I don't remember what happened in May. It's a long time ago, but somebody mentioned that there wasn't rain and there was a drought. I don't know. I'm on a hill. I never have pooling of water. When we have torrential downpours, there will never be pooling of water on my property. And actually put a lot of money to make that way because we had water in the front of the basement leaking one. So now we have it all diverted to the back. We're on a hill like this. There's nothing. You can pour all the water in the world on my property and there will never be water pooling ever, anywhere. And again, I don't frolic outside checking moisture of the property. I just don't. I work 11-hour days.
Okay.
And I understand that it's really inconvenient that this thing on Rheingold Avenue happened, but it did happen, and there's no undoing it. And now I really feel that this is not treating citizens equally. And we can keep harping on the fact that we saw this with our eyeballs, and this we have to just, you know, do more investigative thinking, but the principle of the situation is the same.
Well, I can't recall how many years I've been on this board, but it's been quite a few. And I don't know if I've seen any people come in for an abatement.
This is the first that I can remember, you know, in the last 6 years or whatever.
And, you know, I guess things are put in place to, you know, as a safeguard, that people are gonna have faulty equipment. I mean, your system could fail again next month, and you could have, you know, a high water bill again. So I don't know if we should, you know, continue it and vote when rent comes back, or give us people a chance to, you know, think about the new information, or if we want to vote again tonight. I don't know.
I just want to say that what makes it right to vote just based on your overall feeling, with complete disregard for the fact that we have literally another person down the street from me in a similar situation, and they're granted
Believe me,
that.
we've asked you to provide that information, you know, so we could read it, and we take it into consideration. Unfortunately, this board was unaware of that particular situation.
Right.
And like I said, I've been on the board for, I think, maybe 5 or 6 years and haven't seen any cases. And, you know, I think it's kind of just like anything else that's within the house. If you have a failed pipe and your costs go up due to a failed, you know, component in the house, the city is kind of saying they're not liable for
And
defective components.
I understand, but that's just a question of equality in how you're addressing people's appeals. You know, like,
Well,
I just
again,
would like
it's
to
not
understand what
inequality
makes him
before
more.
This board hasn't heard any cases. That particular decision was made by a commissioner that's no longer with the city.
No, that's actually not true. That was done by Mr. Murawski.
He's not
Yeah,
not
he's not
here
with
anymore.
us.
Oh, really? When did he?
Yeah, his last day with the city was October 22nd, so he's no longer with us.
Isn't that convenient?
I mean, the way that I look at this, I understand when a precedent is set, typically you follow that precedent. In this case, I don't think the two situations, you know, the abatement that was granted for the broken pipe versus this abatement are necessarily an apples to apples comparison because of the nature of a broken pipe being highly visible and, you know, demonstratable, visible proof versus this, which is the irrigation controller, which may have been set incorrectly, it may have been faulty, we just don't know. You don't know, I don't know, there's no way to really prove that. So that's what I'm struggling with. I'm not trying to formulate an opinion, I'm just kind of talking aloud here, but that's what I'm struggling
So
with.
you're trying to just make sure that now that conveniently this happens after this guy is no longer here, you now have this precedent that I can pretty much throw in the garbage, because now we can always say, oh, that was done directly by the guy that's no longer here. And now this commission doesn't want to create another one of those to not regret it. But I think that's unfair to me, because the last time when he was still here, I was specifically told not to come to this meeting, right? So all of this that I'm saying, and he was still here then.
Excuse me, by who?
By this group here. I was here 2 months ago, and 2 months ago I was told,
Don't come back?
yes, I said, do I have to come back next time? No, we're going to contact you. And so I wasn't seeking out actively when this is. Somebody was supposed to contact me. I have email trail where I am expressing.
Ma'am, if I could explain, the way typically a case is heard is we listen to the applicant we listen to anybody else that can provide some data. Once we have the data, then we're able to vote. We don't need any more information. You know, tonight, really, I've already had all the information to make a vote. You've clarified, re-clarified a few things for us, but honestly, I think there's no new information here, you know, so I think we're able to kind of move ahead with the vote at some point, but I don't think there was any disrespect intended by saying you don't need to come. In other words, we've completed that part of the process where we've already
No,
heard
I was
the-
told that there will be
If I could
questions
finish,
sent to
please.
me.
That we've already heard all the information that will help us make a decision.
You didn't get all the information because I was told that somebody will reach out to me prior to that meeting, and I have email thread proving that that did not happen.
Reach out to you for what?
For questions and information, to get more information prior to making that final call. That never happened.
Okay?
I have emails that
So
prove that I
here you are
waited.
tonight, and we've given everybody the opportunity to ask more questions and to be able to gain any information that we don't have at this time.
I mean, we came here knowing that you knew what you wanted to say, and you wanted to say no because I have an email that says that this is regrettable that this initial precedent happened. So now we have a very convenient situation where Mr. Moravsky is no longer here, and you don't create a precedent. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, unless anyone has anything additional to add, can I have a motion to make a vote on the issue? Or a
Any
motion?
comments from, I don't know what camera I'm looking at, left or the right?
George or Steve, anything?
Either a motion to vote or a motion to table the issue until Rick comes back, but I think we have all the information that we need.
I'll make a motion to deny it again.
Yeah, the motions have to be made in the affirmative, so,
Motion to,
Motion to vote.
yeah, motion to vote.
Okay, motion made. Second?
I'll second it for discussion. It's difficult. It's difficult to say.
I honestly tried to find something. I was looking at, was it excess? I mean, Nick and Tony saw the calculations. I had just trying to figure out something. I was hoping, that we could find something, that the Greg's, irrigation could identify something with, yeah, this happens occasionally or anything like that, but that wasn't,
Yeah.
anything I could come across. I looked at how much water was being used, during that 4-hour, that time, and then I compared it. I sent Miss Allen, information on what, an average lawn would use, 10,000 square feet. They're watering about less than half an acre, about 20,000 square feet, and it all just seemed consistent, Maybe it was running longer. Maybe it was accidentally sent longer. I don't know. I tried to figure something. I was hoping to find that there's a broken pipe underground because it is gravelly there. Maybe you all went into the ground someplace, but I didn't see high flows during those periods, that excessive flows based on the number of the heads in the zones. It all seemed very consistent. I honestly tried to find something. I really did. I could say, yeah, there's a broken pipe someplace. This thing's using 40 gallons a minute, on this one zone, but I didn't find that, so.
I mean, unfortunately, I kind of look at the decision that was made by Jeff was made by a commissioner based on a particular situation. If we have on a regular, well, not a regular basis, but over time, if there are requests before the board and we do grant them, we are kind of setting a precedence where if your personal equipment fails, then the city's going to absorb the cost of it. It's funny, you were talking about pressure washing the house. I'm having a good portion of my house painted, and they came and they pressure washed, and I got a bill that was double what my regular bill is. So I understand that it does ramp up pretty quick. And if you have a pretty elaborate system that has a failure, the usage for the sewer portion is gonna go up pretty quick. It's unfortunate. I mean, none of us wanna pay the water and sewer prices that we're paying, but we have to, and I'm just afraid we're gonna, every time there's a situation in the city, we're gonna, see this.
Well, that's the problem, and it's, it's time consuming as it is with the people that come in, that we still have to look at, what went on, that you don't see, it's like figuring out, oh, this was actually a toilet leak. It's like when they believe that meter's not recording, then we do all the investigation, and then, oh yeah, I replaced the toilet 2 months ago, or that's what the high bill or whatever, and I didn't think of it. Things like that. There's a lot of time that we spend on these types of things, and, if we make additional precedents, regardless of the other one, it's like, it's gonna open up the door to more. It's like, well, you gave it to this person, you gave it to that person.
Correct.
It's unfortunate that, this had to happen at this point in time or whatever. And I wish that we could find something that was, truly faulty, rather than that just ran a bit longer than it was supposed to, but.
Right, I don't necessarily agree that the comparison was direct to the other precedent that was set. I mean, there was a visibly broken pipe. Jeff Morowski confirmed it, by visiting the site. He saw it, it was visible.
And it was caught right away.
And it was
The
caught
gentleman
right
caught
away.
it, came home from that weekend. This went on for a month and a half,
Right, and in this case, there's no tangible evidence that the controller really was broken. I mean, I know Ms. Allen suggests that statement implies that she was not being truthful, and I don't necessarily think that. I just don't think that there's demonstrable proof that controller was broken for us to allow an abatement.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but she should run it.
that's what I was thinking.
Check it.
Irrigation meter, right, yeah.
Right, run it at least for a few minutes just to check it and see what's going on. That was the purpose of that question that I had for her.
And some of the email, that's what I was trying to figure out. It's like, well, if you definitely, why wasn't it replaced or, pulled out or whatever, and if you're going to continue to use it, then it should be tested and just see what does happen. You'll have to monitor for a couple days and see if it's on the correct times, or, equipment does fail. I mean, we just, the other thing is, I wish I had seen it going off in the middle of the night, from 12 to 5 in the morning. It's like, well, that didn't happen. It was, they told me it was going off at these times, and that's, agreed with what we saw for the flows, so.
Right, and that was one of the issues that I raised during the first meeting. If it was something that happened overnight, it is a set it and forget it type system, where if you've got it set to go off at 3 in the morning, maybe something happens, you don't catch it for a little while.
Yeah.
But in this case, I mean, even if I used to work from home, I look out the window occasionally. You can hear the sprinklers going off. To me, it would have been something that was noticeable if it was going on for 3 hours. I personally would have picked up on it. I've got a yard that's on a hill. Sounds very similar to what Miss Allen describes. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but that's another issue that I have with the whole situation too.
Having said that, I mean, maybe we could look at the policy down the road, if there's some type of thing. I mean, that's the policy that, in my opinion, we can't make a decision based on a policy we may change, but maybe we should look at it. Maybe there's maybe it could be modified, just saying it, but right now, that's the policy we have and we have to follow. And there's many reasons behind it, that are forgotten this time besides what we discussed. There's probably other things, because I remember at the commission meetings, it went around and around, and, Mike may have been there too, but we don't remember those reasons, but there was a lot of rationale, knowing how Jeff was, there was a lot of rationale put into that. There's no doubt in my mind, a lot of thought to make sure that, this was the right thing to do,
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't think the board's being insensitive, but we have to have some consistency and maintain our bylaws.
She does have the option to use an irrigation meter
Right.
also, and it seems like one of her priorities is being very frugal with her water use and making sure the bill's low, and I don't necessarily understand the choice to not install a water meter if that's your mindset also,
Anyways, I've seconded the motion to approve the abatement in the affirmative for 68 Bellata Way.
So do we just accept it at that, or do we need to re-vote?
He's approving it, so we
Well, yeah, I guess, we're opening it up for a new vote.
Okay.
We can do that, or the board can just,
I think
Just say that I'm making a motion to uphold the board's original decision. I guess we could do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the better way to go, because we've already made the decision.
So we've got a motion and a second to uphold the board's original decision from the last meeting on October 13th.
And
So
I'll second that.
Mike seconded it. So I guess all in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Decision's unanimous. Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda, report from the Water Division.
Yeah, I just have a couple items for this evening. One of the things I want to talk about is we have a couple projects that are ongoing, the replacement of the fluid transmission main and the upgrade of the SCADA system, and we are experiencing some supply chain issues with those projects. The fluid transmission main work was supposed to start about a month ago, and they haven't been able to get all the pipe that they need for it. It's 24-inch pipe, so there's been a delay on that, and we're going to have a new schedule. So we're working around that. SCADA, with some of the PLCs and things like that, of course, the chip shortage that's going on, they're having a little bit difficult time getting those type of things. So it hasn't severely impacted our schedule because there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and some of that stuff was ordered ahead of time. So, it's just something I want you to be aware of, that those things are impacting us a bit, and will probably be impacting other projects. So unfortunately, we've been all right with the stuff that we actually ordered some hydrants this week. And the hydrants themselves went up more than 10%, like 12, 15% from a few months ago. So, which is considerable. It's about $300 more a hydrant, but we're trying to keep everything in stock that we need to. We're not trying to hoard things, but at the same time, we need to have adequate, couplings and piping and valves and things like that. So, so we're hoping to stay ahead of that. The next item I have on there is just a water meter project. I didn't talk about that for a little bit, but we're about 96% complete with the project. We have 10,864 meters replaced out of 11,357. Unfortunately, we now have to do shut-off notices to get people to change out their meters. But it usually goes pretty well. The day that we shut off the water, they're there to let us change the meter. So we've actually found one or two vacant houses during this time. So we've actually shut off the water to a vacant house that hopefully won't be a problem this winter. So that's a plus in that respect. So, but it's moving along. These last ones, about 493 left. They're going to take some time to finish. Some of them have older service lines, about 184 of them, and we're actually going to put in funding through the ARPA funds to see for people with, that are eligible income-wise for, to have their service lines upgraded, because I know a lot of people just can't afford to do it. So we're going to put in some money there and put together a program. Hopefully, if that money is, allowed for us to help people that, can't afford to do their service lines to get them renewed, because the 184 service lines, they're ones that are old iron pipe in very poor condition, and many of them are actually weeping a little bit. There's water dampness around the pipe, so it's only a matter of time before they go. So hopefully we can help some people with that program if we do get that money. So the Oak Hill storage tank replacement project, that's we're doing the engineering for that, and that should be completed. The engineering itself should be completed by the end of December, and then we'll be probably ready to go out to bid in January or February. Hopefully everything goes all right with that. We have encountered some real issues with the site itself. The original tank was actually basically blasted out a ledge, and the walls are all uneven. The ledge itself, bedrock, are the walls, and then a liner was put on that. So that liner is kind of separated some spots and things like that, that coating. And that's the reason we have to replace it, because we do get a bit of leakage, despite we tried to do some sealing in it a couple of years ago. It just didn't work. It just needs to be replaced. But we have a small area up there. It's where the tower is up above the course, and that tower doesn't allow us any flexibility with the tank. We can't move it around because that tower is right there, and it's, huge footings there. So it's restricted how we, design a new tank for that site. So, but I think Weston and Sampson has a good plan, and we talked to purchasing about it today, about how we're going to bid this with some responsibility put on the contractor as far as, you know, engineering how this is gonna be done, rather than setting in stone, let them kind of figure out some of this, so, and like I said, purchasing was satisfied, you know, actually happy with doing that type of performance-based bid, so, but that'll, hopefully, you know, by the end of next year, we'll have that done. That's one of the requirements that DEP has for us, is to replace that tank, which is from about the 60s. So that's the final tank. The other tanks have all been replaced in the last 15, 20 years. So, and they do need some maintenance, but otherwise they're in good condition, you know, some coating repairs and things like that, just what happens in New England and, you know, just with weather. Working on them, so, but we plan on doing some maintenance on those next year as a part of this project, and make sure we keep those, you know, in good condition for the customers and people of Fitchburg, so that, you know, we make sure that that asset is protected. So that's pretty much all I have. I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of that. I'd be happy to answer that, but if not, I'll turn it over to Tony.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, on the tank, what are you guys replacing it with? Is the same?
It'll be another type of concrete tank. Yeah, we'd looked at the glass ones too, but the problem is like the way it's blasted into the ledge there's not enough room to really push it over, and we'd end up with a big open area between the tank and the wall, but only a couple of feet. But we wouldn't be able to fill that because, you know, we want that side of the tank open. So we had thinking, well, maybe steel tank with glass lining, but they really feel that some type of, you know, building it back into that bedrock, but with concrete, you know, maybe pouring a wall up against there is the best way to go, which I think I agree to. So, you know, especially with a steel tank, my concern up there was that we do have lightning strikes up there and things like that, so I wasn't sure how that would affect things, especially, you know, a lightning strike hitting that tank, you know, with the glass lining. Maybe they would be protected enough, but that was the kind of concern. I think the concrete, you know, against the bedrock would actually be, I mean, that thing's been there since the 60s, and it's only started leaking in the last couple of years, and only small leaks, you know, like, you know, less than, you know, like 5 gallons a minute, so I think that...
Concrete seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that'll give, you know, 100 years service, and the thing is once that's there, it's a lot easier. You know, if they had done a concrete type wall and poured wall against it there, we probably could have worked with that now. It probably would still be fine, but because it's so uneven, it's like we really need to make that surface even and work from that, so.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to accept the Water Division's report.
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second. All right. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the second item, or the final item on our agenda, a report from the Wastewater Division.
All right.
And I know we have the Conservation Commission meeting in about 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make this quick since we've got quite a few people that are filing in. For the wastewater division, I've just got a few projects similar to what John had listed here. We've got the combined sewer separation project, which is ongoing. They'll be on Nashua Street until the end of the year, installing sewer. They're doing the drain now. They've got about half of that done, both drain and sewer on half of Nashua Street. So they'll be there till the end of the year. Same thing with Clarendon Street. We've got some more sewer replacement to do there, heading up towards the cemetery. The last CSO, the combined sewer overflow to be closed, is CSO 48 in front of Midtown Beef and Market Basket. As of right now, that looks like that'll be in about 3 weeks. And when I say last CSO, I mean last CSO for this project, not in the city. The downtown design investigation work for the sewer separation project there is moving along. The smoke testing is complete. Survey's begun. The borings are ongoing, so we're moving ahead with that. Looking into the West Plant for the anaerobic digestion, we worked with Purchasing Division to extend the due date for the RFP for companies to submit on that, just because we wanted to get some questions answered and give bidders a little more time to put together their package. The East Plant gravity thickeners, we've received a draft OPM RFP from Purchasing Division, and this is due to the cost of the project, and under Chapter 149, we have to have an owner's project manager. So we hope to have that out within the next couple of weeks as well. The Westminster intermunicipal agreement, we've worked with Josh Hall, the DPW director in Westminster. We've agreed to do a 2-year temporary intermunicipal agreement. That will give us time to look into allowing Westminster to have more flow. The only thing they've asked this time is if they can transfer 30, I think he said 30 or 40,000 gallons over to where Monty Tech is. So I'm having a couple of flow meters installed. I'm going to keep them there for a few months just because that line is already pretty much at capacity. So I want to get an idea of if we add this additional flow, are we going to cause issues? Lunenburg sewer ordinance update. I know Jeff provided Lunenburg with some comments that he had on their ordinance before he left. I haven't heard anything back, so I'll reach out to them in the next couple weeks. Any questions?
Just a comment, they were up on Prospect Street doing some work at the intersection of Prince, and there was a patch done on Prospect, and we had some heavy rains pretty quick after the patch was done, and some large portions of it are gone, and there's some pretty big ruts up there.
Okay, now you say a patch, so we've only done borings up there. Is this the gas?
Yeah, right where Prince and Prospect intersect.
Okay. Prince and Prospect. I know what you're talking about, so I'll check it out.
Could it be gas? Is Newco up? I thought they were further like down into the Goddard area.
I think it could be
I don't know
gas.
exactly where they are. I know they're in that neighborhood though, and
We can
done a
check
ton
that
of
out.
work.
Yeah, or maybe let Newco know that they,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
No, thanks.
Could be
for letting me
water department too. I don't know if you got anyone out there, but we'll look into who it is and make sure
Yeah,
the trench gets.
I'm not sure. I can't say whether it was us or not, so, but.
Okay.
I know they've been doing the borings, and those are only little.
Right.
Yeah, and this isn't huge, but it's probably 4x4.
Yeah, we've been excavating some curb stop boxes, so I mean, it could be something like that,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll check it.
All right,
We'll
thank
figure
you.
out whose it is and get it repaired.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for Tony? Anyone on the video? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the report from the wastewater division?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to other business, we've got about 5 minutes left. Deputy Commissioner of Wastewater, recommendation for appointment. As Commissioner of Public Works, I've drafted a letter to the Water-Wastewater Commission to recommend that Tony Marissa be appointed to fill Jeff's role as Deputy Commissioner of Wastewater. I don't know if this is something that the board would like to, or the commission would like to discuss now, or wait until Rick returns next meeting. But I think that Tony has demonstrated through, his past experience with the city that he's intimate with the city's sewer system. He's very familiar with the consent decree and all the requirements under the consent decree. He's been instrumental in all of the combined sewer separation projects that have gone on here in the last 7 or so years, and he's instrumental in the projects that are being designed and implemented right now. So I recommend that he be appointed to that position, and I recommend to the commission that they make a favorable recommendation for Tony's appointment to the mayor. So I don't know if there's any discussion on that.
Do we vote on it and then it goes to the mayor?
It would be
Is the mayor the ultimate decision maker on
the mayor.
this particular position?
Yeah, the mayor's the ultimate decision maker on the position. The voting would be on making a favorable recommendation to the mayor's office.
From the commission.
From the commission. And we could, I'd be happy to draft up that language for the commission's review on approval prior to sending to the mayor. Or we could let Rick take a stab at it if he's amenable to that, whatever.
Sure.
However the commission feels.
I can go either way.
Okay.
It would probably be good to have some form of resume or something to just,
It was attached.
So it is attached to
I reviewed it. I looked at it.
Yeah,
what Jennifer sent
attached
out.
to the letter.
okay. I got that. And then, look at it next month, I guess, unless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wants to move
but I
this
mean,
month.
as Nick said, if you guys had any questions you'd want to ask me and discuss it next month. I mean, I don't want to rush anyone into any sort of vote.
I reviewed your resume, it looks good, I mean, I have no issues.
Okay. So I know Rick's out. Rick's familiar with Tony and all the work that he's done for the city too. So entirely up to the commission whether we want to table this or vote for a favorable recommendation tonight. Leave it up to you, Mike.
Voting for
Is there any negative impact to waiting?
The only negative impact to waiting would be to advertise for the replacement for the sewer system manager if Tony was to move up to the deputy commissioner position. So it'd be another month of Tony doing two jobs.
Okay. Might want to ask some of the board members if they want to move to vote tonight.
What do you guys on the video conference think? You want to vote on a favorable recommendation tonight or table the issue until Rick comes back next week?
I'll vote tonight.
I'm all set to vote.
Stephen? Okay. So you want to make a motion to
Yeah, I'll
vote
make a
tonight?
motion to, for a favorable recommendation for Tony.
All right, we get
Sorry, I didn't get you last.
a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous, motion carries. So I'll draft up that language and I'll send it to the commission for review prior to sending to the mayor. And I think the signature probably should be Rick Healy, so I'll work with Rick to get that in motion. Next item on other business, our next meeting will be 5 p.m. on Wednesday, December 8th, 2021 in the Legislative Building here at the City Hall campus, 700 Main Street, Fitchburg, Mass. And that is the last item on our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made,
Second it.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, motion carries. And that is the close of the November 10th, 2021 meeting of the Water-Wastewater Commission.